I have a particularly strong, vivid memory of seeing Martina Arroyo singing in Leonora in La Forza del Destino at the Met. Of course, I grew up in New York, and so as a kid, I had the great good fortune to be able to attend a lot of performances at Lincoln Center. And I remember just being in awe of this just tremendous velvety voice and very compelling stage personality, the dramatic power of it, and also the lyricism of it. But I remember particularly because shortly after that, I remember seeing her on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and she was just a laugh riot. I mean, she was the funniest person I think I'd ever seen on a talk show. And it was sort of this seeming dissonance between this terribly dignified diva persona on stage and this down-to-earth, hilarious, you know, almost like a stand-up comic on television. And so she made a really big impression on me, a sort of twofold big impression on me right off the bat. Well, Martina Arroyo is one of those blessed people who's born to sing, particularly Verdi and also Puccini and some of the Jugendlich Wagner and some of the big Mozart roles, because she has one of those voices that is very beautiful and very lyrical, but at the same time really powerful. And she had endless breath control. And of course, a great facility with languages and a very, very strong stage presence. So she was just born to sing that rep. And, you know, I think it was an era where we had several ladies around who were really adept in that, and we maybe took it for granted a little too much and weren't quite as aware of what a rare thing it is to really be born to sing that repertory. It would be so hard to choose a favorite role that I heard Martina Arroyo sing, but I really do think it would have to be, at least I'd have to narrow it down to the Verdi roles, because she was pretty definitive in a lot of them that I had the good luck to see, the Aidas and the both Leonoras. You know, just really, really memorable, and you didn't forget it. Also, I just remember her as singing the soprano solos in Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which is not a big diva star turn, but boy, is it difficult. And I just remember that she had both the power and the lyricism, the amazing lyricism to really just soar over that orchestra and the big ensemble. And I know Leonard Bernstein loved her, of course, and I think she sang that piece many times with him and the New York Philharmonic. Martina was part of that first blossoming, international blossoming of African-American singers. Still, I'm sure it must have been difficult both in this country and abroad. Certainly, she began her career during a time when there were still horrible racial laws in this country, and she had to have been affected by that. And I recall stories about her even facing prejudice abroad. But she's so cosmopolitan. She's such a citizen of the world. That's one of the things that has always really impressed me about Martina, that you know, she can hobnob comfortably probably with kings and queens, and at the same time you know, she grew up in Harlem, and she's a New Yorker, and she can just get down with the best of them. I mean, she's just a wonderful, wonderful, larger-than-life, vibrant personality. She's an intellectual. She's quite a scholar. I mean, she got degrees in Romance languages, and she worked, she was a social worker in New York, and you see that facility operating, you see that tremendous empathy she has with people of all walks of life and all ages, and that kind of just deep humanity. And I think that's one of the things that makes her such a great success as a teacher, and also the fantastic work she's done as an ambassador for the arts. She's served on so many boards and committees and national committees, and that's what makes her such a sort of a polymath, I think, such a versatile human being as well as artist. The thing that Martina does in her foundation, her Prelude to Performance program, that I think is unique is that she's really dedicated to having the artists study complete roles and prepare them completely. And that's something that there aren't too many opportunities for students and young artists to do, certainly once they get out of school. And it's that holistic kind of approach that she takes. And she also has this great ability to lure the top people in all aspects of the opera profession to come and work with her and her students for a song or for nothing. She just has that, I mean, her enthusiasm for what she's doing is so infectious, and her powers of persuasion are so huge that you just have to come aboard and help her and work with her. How do you describe a voice like Martina Arroyo's voice? I mean, of course, you want to fall back on all those cliche things that you read in the paper 10 times a week, like creamy and velvety. But, you know, what I'm going to say, because I think one of the really distinguishing characteristics of it, besides just the sheer beauty of it and the lyricism, is just the amplitude, the expansiveness of it, and the feeling that there's just no end to this sound, that it could go on forever, and the volume would be just limitless, while at the same time never leaving the realm of beauty. There is something about that voice that just felt limitlessly lyrical and beautiful, and that's a really rare thing. In a way, she comes from sort of this fairy tale time of incredible opera singers that, as a New Yorker, I had the fortune, again, to really grow up with. That I actually, as a kid, I stood there and I saw, you know, the Sutherlands and the Horns and Sills and Corelli and Nielsen and Arroyo, and she was part of all that. She was part of that incredible sort of limitless, seemingly limitless at the time, flood of world-class, now legendary singers that, and you kind of thought, I remember just feeling like, oh, this is the way it is. I guess this is the way it'll always be. Just there will always be these larger-than-life, incredible singers, and it hasn't worked out quite that way. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful singers out there, God knows, you know, but there just was something almost mythic about the singers of that era, and Martina was front and center among them, absolutely. I think another thing that makes Martina a great teacher is that she has an iron will, but it's wrapped up in the most velvety, gentle, kind, really, really, really kind and empathetic, whatever you want to call it, glove. And that's, I think, how she really works the wonders with the students, with the kids, is that there's always, I think, they never doubt how much she believes in them and supports them. But at the same time, her standards are really exacting and high, and she's not going to settle for less than what she thinks they can give.